to another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and today we get to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is ice cream. And while this company's claim to fame, a lot of people know these two individuals sitting next to me because of their appearance on Shark Tank. The flavors coming out of these pints of ice cream are worthy of praise, even if you guys had never appeared on that hit ABC show.
Thank you.
To talk all about this company, I have the owners of eCreamery, Abby Jordan and Becky App. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having us. This is fun.
You bet.
And just because we've got multiple voices today to help listeners distinguish between you two, I would love for each of you to just introduce yourselves real briefly.
Sure. I'm Abby Jordan, and I'm a co-founder at eCreamery, and we love ice cream.
I'm Becky App, and with Abby, I'm a co-founder of eCreamery. We worked together in the past life, and we've been working together since 2007.
I love it. I cannot wait to get into your story more. So what separates eCreamery from most ice cream shops, or really most ice cream shops, not just in Omaha, but across the country, is the ability for people to be able to purchase eCreamery pints, personalize them, and then ship them anywhere in America. That's incredible. We're going to get to that, but I want to start with the ice cream itself. In you guys' eyes, what is it about your ice cream, your product, that separates it from any other that you've had? Like, what gives it that distinct eCreamery stamp?
Well, I'll take that one because Abby is our culinary genius, and cooking is just so easy for Abby and always has been that she's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's just regular, normal. And I'm like, no, this is a major feat of accomplishment. She makes all the flavors and is our original cook and all of those original things. It's the density. The equipment we use, the ingredients we use, we have a proprietary base that we've worked with to produce that makes it so dense. There's less air in our product, so each spoonful is really rich and full of flavor. And that's by design so that we can ship it and that it just is always delicious.
Yes, I would agree with it. Just the base itself is just so creamy. It just like, once you take a bite, you just get like that really nice mouth feel, which I hate that word. It's such a weird word, but like it's also such a good descriptor because you, as weird as that word sounds, you know what it means when you hear it. So, okay. So before we get too far into it, if people are listening to this and they're just like, okay, I need to try eCreamery. I need to know what this is all about. You guys have your original ice cream parlor, which is located off 50th and Underwood in Dundee. You also have a food truck, or I guess an ice cream truck in this case, and you have a shipping facility near 132nd L, or as we're going to talk about, you can always purchase pints off of eCreamery.com. So all kinds of different options there.
Yeah.
So normally I like to start by talking about the food in an episode, but I am interested in you guys and your background. So I want to start with you first. How did you two meet?
You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Abby and I were working at Borsheim's Jewelry here in Omaha. And I was in the marketing department and Abby was in corporate gifts. And I was Abby's boss. And
That's why I laugh.
This is back in 2001. And, they didn't really know if the internet was going to make it. This was a new trend.
It just seems wild to think, but yeah, that's very true back then.
Yeah, we were working on a corporate gift program for Borsheim's, and our big boss didn't think that the e-commerce was gonna do anything.
Yeah, it was a trend. So they thought, we'll give this e-commerce thing a shot. Let's throw the new project of building a website to these 22-year-old girls. And lucky for us, we're quick learners. And so we started learning, the back end of putting together this website. And I laugh about Abby being my boss because within a few weeks, Abby was like, no, why would I do that? No, that's ridiculous. Abby has the entrepreneur spirit since day one. So she's like, no, that's, this is the most efficient way. This is the way we'll do it. And that's how we got started is building that first website at Borsheim's.
And I mean, we're talking about running a website at a jeweler, and now, that partnership stems and grows into an ice cream company. How does that happen? Like, what was the first step?
Well, our entrepreneurship story is it's backwards. It kind of found us. So there was an ice cream shop in the heart of Dundee, And, ice cream in Omaha is tough. Think of how many ice cream shops you've known.
And a lot of good ones, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the weather, the traffic, the lack of a drive-through. I mean, there's lots of different factors that makes local retail for ice cream super hard. So the ice cream shop in Dundee wasn't making it. So we had a family friend that was working with that shop at the time. And they had an idea of like, well, let's sell ice cream online. If we can't come to those warm markets, let's send the ice cream to them. And Abby and I had the background in e-commerce. And the challenge we saw from the beginning was to pack and ship and send 4 pints, through overnight expedited shipping was $18 a pint. So how the heck were you going to convince somebody to spend $18 a pint when you could go down to the store and get it for $5? So with our background at Borsheim's, we were like, everybody has such an emotional connection to ice cream. You have a memory.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, everybody has a memory. Their grandpa.
And a flavor that they think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something good that happened with ice cream, so that emotional connection. So we decided we'll make it a gift. Because it's when you're giving it to somebody else, it's special. It's attached to that memory. You can name it whatever you want. You can design your own flavor. In the beginning, we started where you could design your very own flavor. We had 40 mix-ins, 80 mix-ins, 40 flavors. You could name it whatever you wanted. You could choose your own packaging, and it arrived on somebody's doorstep as a really special, heartfelt gift. So all of a sudden, we're like, that's worth that cost. So that's why Abby and I saw the concept and we were like, oh yeah, we're so in. Everybody else was like, this is crazy. Nobody should do this. Ship ice cream, what are you talking about? And Abby and I are like, yeah, we're quitting our jobs. Who needs health insurance? Who needs a steady paycheck? And so we went for it. Yeah.
So real quick, I want to get further into that story, but I just want to provide a tangible example. You guys just came in, and anyone who's watching this right now, let me see if I can find, So they brought in pints of eCreamery ice cream, and I absolutely love the white chocolate peppermint. That's been my favorite. I think I've tried 4 or 5 of your flavors. That's been my favorite. It's a white chocolate peppermint base with peppermint flakes and big old chunks of chocolate in there, and I love it. And I would happily, I've bought pints of this. But you guys came in and you customized it, and you said it says Dan Hoppen's white chocolate peppermint, and it's got the Restaurant Hoppen logo on there, as you can see. You saw how my face lit up when I saw that. That took ice cream. It's delicious ice cream, but it was a gift, and you made it even more special by just personalizing a little bit. And I think that kind of speaks to exactly what you guys are going for, in that, yes, ice cream is just, at the end of the day, it's just delicious. But when it is packaged as a gift and given to someone, it almost takes on even more meaning.
It does. Yeah.
Absolutely. We call that the ice cream hero effect. So you think eating ice cream is the best thing that could possibly happen. Well, when you ship it to somebody, or when we see your face and you saw your own flavor, that feels almost as good.
Right.
You're just so happy. They're so excited. So when you ship the gift, you have pictures of your little kids, or you've named it something funny, and you get the pictures back. You just feel so good. They really love it.
So Abby, going back to the origin story, who was the one who first suggested hey, we should do this? Do you
Becky.
remember?
Oh, yes, I do remember. Very well.
Okay, so what was your response? Were you like, is this crazy?
I was like, oh, happy to help on the side, but no, I was working at Hayneedle at the time, and so I was running some of the websites you probably heard of, potracksgalore.com. Just kidding. Nobody's heard of this, but they were all top-level domain websites that had a large selection of whatever the top level domain was, hammocks, beanbags. And I really liked it. That's where I caught the e-commerce bug for sure, because all we were doing was using keywords on Google to drive traffic to those sites. So that's how we marketed, and it was just a very direct marketing cost. You could very easily see what you were spending, very easily see product costs. So it was a really beautiful model. So as Becky continued to convince me that this was a great idea, that I should come run an ice cream shop in Dundee and an e-commerce store out of that shop, she broke me down, I guess. So eventually eventually I took the leap, thinking that we were going to apply that same PPC model to ice cream. And that wasn't quite the case. Not a lot of people in 2007 were searching for ice cream to be shipped online. So we had some struggles there in the beginning, but, and still marketing's still hard and a big piece of the puzzle for getting people to know and think that, oh, I could send ice cream as a gift. That'd be great. So like Becky says, we're educating America that ice cream gifts exist, and it's still a challenge every day. So,
I mean, clearly, I know you said it's been a challenge, but you guys are in your 17th year of business now. So you're clearly doing something right. What do you think has been some of the most effective ways in which you've gotten that message out there?
Shark Tank was a good
that doesn't hurt being on national TV, yes.
during its prime. I mean, I think we were on the second or third season.
Yeah.
I mean,
fourth, but
yes, you guys were on the fourth season in 2012.
do you want to talk
know.
about
So long ago? Different
Operation
lifetime.
Get It in Their Mouths?
Yes. Yeah. No, and you should, step in. So we had some rare opportunities in the beginning that were just kind of fell in our lap. Like Ryan Seacrest ate ice cream that was gifted to somebody that he was staying in their place in New York. And he ate this Poppy's pint out of somebody's freezer in New York and said something about it on his radio show. And so that brought traffic, which was, just like, oh, where's all this traffic coming from? A radio show in California. I mean, I don't even know if there was Sirius back then, that was some of that. And then we sent ice cream to all these different radio stations for the launch of the new American Idol season. And we made a flavor for each of the judges, like Simon's Sour Lemon and Paula's something. So some of those small opportunities. So we did not have much of a marketing budget. So we called it Operation Get It in Their Mouths. So we started sending ice cream to anybody who would accept it, which luckily for us, a lot of people accepted it.
Yeah. Who says no to free ice
Anyone
cream?
who rejects ice cream, you don't want their endorsement anyway.
Right.
That's a crazy person.
No. I mean, one time we did get somebody, which we thought was probably like, this is kind of funny, like a mobster or something. I remember sitting in your guest room office at your house. And this guy called us and he's like, who sent this ice cream?
Oh, yes. Oh, you're right. You're right. We're like, I swear it's not tampered with. You're right.
Yeah, they were thinking
my
somebody was
gosh.
like calling him to poison him or like sending it to him to poison him. That was a rejection. We were like, oh.
Wasn't it like Gotti? Just kidding.
No. I don't know. We were like, I want to say it was a New Jersey car
Yeah, we
dealership
better
or
be
something.
careful. Yeah, there was a name that maybe we suspected.
Yeah. So anyway, we were like, oh, no, it hasn't been tampered with. We sent it right to you. But yeah,
But in the
fun.
beginning, we were working for sweat equity. I mean, and we were just, our marketing budget was this big, and so Operation Get in Their Mouths was we would research stars. Like I remember Abby saying, Ellen DeGeneres broke her leg. Let's send her feel better bites.
Yeah, she had a bad back or something.
So we would research things that these people really liked. And then we would name it for them something funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like on
Rachel
Shark
Ray.
Tank,
Yeah.
it was, for Rachel Ray, it was for her dog, Izzy's Pick Me Up. And it was coffee and praline pecans, So when you get it, it's genuine. Like they are really excited about it and they really do want to talk about it. And that literally was our marketing strategy.
I think it's brilliant, especially because you talked about, especially back in the day, the pints were so customizable that, and now it would be even easier. Back then, it was probably a little bit more difficult. But if you go on somebody's Instagram now, you can pretty easily find out what flavor profiles they're most interested in. And if you can create a customized pint and send that to them and they just open up the mail and, oh, wow, this is here and it's got my name on it and it's my favorite flavor, like that's genius. So I know you said that, it's still a challenge to get the word out there, but I think that those are really smart tactics. So I want to hit something just from a logistical point that I think, listeners might be curious in. There's a reason that most companies aren't shipping ice cream across the country, because the thought of shipping ice cream, from here to Washington, like that's going to require days of travel. Ice cream melts. Logistically, how do you ship ice cream from one place to another while ensuring that it is still frozen and has that good quality?
Go ahead.
Well, we pack our ice cream in a reusable styrofoam cooler on dry ice. And most of the reason why it was easy for us to figure that out is because of Omaha Steaks. So there are a couple cooler manufacturers here in town because Omaha Steaks has built their business around shipping frozen food. Also, our access to dry ice is easier for them again because of them again. So it's lucky. We did some co-packing and shipping out of the East Coast, and you cannot buy dry ice in North Carolina. There's not a place to buy dry ice. So luckily they have states that neighbor that are close, but we would bring in ice from Kentucky. So we have dry ice outlets a couple different ways here in Omaha. And a lot of that, again, is because of Omaha Steaks. So we invited the cooler people out to the store on 50th and Underwood and said, how do you do this? And they just taught us how to ship it.
Free ice cream goes a long way.
That's what I'm learning from this podcast. If you want something from people, just give them free ice cream and they'll help you.
Well, I mean, it's kind of true. We've made some real miracles happen.
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
real miracles. We've gotten refugees moved to the United States of America. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, people and ice cream, they're just real motivating. Yeah. People love it. It makes them happy. It's
uniting. Yeah. I mean,
we call it a universal language.
Yes, that's it.
Every culture, every background, every socioeconomic, every religion, everybody loves it. It brings them together and they're just happy. Yeah.
I agree, but it has to be good ice cream. If you give somebody bad ice cream, you're not getting anywhere. But fortunately, you guys have a very good product. And I'm so curious because you mentioned, Abby, you've got, some background in, I guess I'm not sure exactly. Becky said that you had, some cooking.
It's innate.
Some cooking background, or maybe it's just innate. Like, how did you dive into this? When you decided you're going to do ice cream, did you have experience making ice cream?
No, definitely not experience making ice cream. I think Becky touched on it, but I wasn't afraid of the kitchen at all. I come from a big Italian family. That's where I grew up, in the kitchen. So it wasn't, I was like, well, there's just got to be a formula to figure it out. And then I am going to pass the mic because Becky loves telling this story of how I learned how to actually make ice cream. We were using old school equipment, which was ice and rock salt. And we just couldn't get the product consistent enough for shipping. So we found a consultant.
Yeah.
Enter Paolo Cantatori.
Paolo Cantatori. So with Abby's 9 Italian aunts, she's like, yeah, we're going to figure this out. So we're working on the website and all of the PPC and the marketing, thinking like, well, the ice cream's just going to fall together. And as we started testing, we were with the previous ice cream ownership and operation, we would test it in the dry ice in the cooler, but it goes down to -9 degrees on dry ice. It's very cold. So the chemical composition changes. So we tested after we let it sit for 3 days on dry ice, and it was crunchy. There was so much air in it, those little pockets of air would crystallize. So not all ice cream ships. And so we're building this beautiful website. We've quit our jobs. We're like, this needs to ship. So we start researching online, and there's ice cream schools you could take classes, but it's like a year long. We don't have a year. We've got, weeks.
10 minutes.
Yeah. And so Abby gets connected with a consultant from Italy, Paolo Cantatori. And he's like, this is a fantastic idea. No one is shipping ice cream as a gift. This concept, I've never heard of it worldwide. I love it. For $100,000, I will train you guys on a proprietary ice cream recipe that will ship and it will be all yours. And we're like, we have $700. And he's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Ciao. And so a week goes by. We're going to sign up for a class in
Penn
Philly.
State?
Yeah, Penn State class. We're going to sign up for it. And Paulo calls us back and he's like, ladies, I can't stop thinking about it. This concept is so fantastic. I really want to be in a part of it. I really want to help you. If you two will fly out to Vegas, I have been hired by Mario Batali and Joe Bastianich to consult on all their new restaurant dessert lines in the Palazzo Hotel. I will meet with you ladies at night in the warehouse district and teach you guys how to make at night. And I think the funniest part of the whole story is our husbands were like, yes, go ahead. And so that's exactly what we did. We met with this Italian gelato consultant, and he taught Abby at night in the Vegas warehouse district on how to make a shippable, proprietary, fantastic, dense ice cream.
That is wild. So, do you guys still have contact with Paolo, or have you talked to? So he knows that he did something right.
Oh yeah, he's such a great guy, and he met his wife in Vegas during that same time.
That same trip?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
Yeah. So it was just it was all meant to be. It was all
Wow.
It's great.
Ice cream makes things happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long was this trip? Like, how much teaching and mentoring did he give you?
5 days.
Yeah, quick.
Abby was a quick learner. I mean,
Well, yeah, and like I said, I mean, there's a lot of science involved in making ice cream. I mean, there's a lot of liquid solid calculations, but what we really wanted to learn was the foundation, and then we've just gone from there. So it was enough time.
Were there any like revelations during his time where you were just like, man, this was, you talked about having those pockets of air that were crystallizing. Was there ever like a light bulb moment when he's like going through everything where you're just like, oh, this is the difference that's going to make us be able to ship it?
but we can't talk about it because it's secret. Because that's why we can ship our ice cream.
I don't want to expose any secrets. That's not the purpose of this podcast. I'm just curious if there was ever like that, just like that moment where you're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, yes, there's different equipment that we used. And yeah, for sure. Like, oh, wow, that's consistent instead of inconsistent. So, yeah.
So if you look at ice cream and you watch it melt, this was something he taught us that I think is interesting. If you watch an ice cream melt, as you see it decompose or come apart, you'll see ones that have lots of air pumped into it, bubbles just open, and you'll see like circular bubbles inside the ice cream. So you know that they've pumped a lot of air into that. And it's just like there's lots of different types of pizza, there's lots of different types of ice cream. And ones that have more air in them are going to be crunchier if they're exposed to a lot of cold, so they can't ship. And so if there's very little to no air inside of it, when it melts, you won't see any of those bubbles. It'll just all smoothly fall, which is a sad thing. But you can see the difference. And that was kind of like the science when I teach elementary school Ice Cream 101 on density. That's what we talk about, is how much air makes so much of a difference.
And this is back in 2007, I believe, is when this went down, or maybe 2006. Your business launched in 2007, so maybe this was a little bit before.
I think this is November 2006
Okay.
in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come back from Vegas. Did you have the confidence at that point that, okay, we figured this out, like it's going to happen, or was there still some tinkering that you had to do, or some doubts in your mind?
Well, we had to secure the funding for the equipment that was more like the, 100,000.
What he had, yeah.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, we knew that it would work if we had the equipment. And so we figured that out and brought it in. We rolled it off a truck on 50th and Underwood and rolled it into that shop.
So you've got your base. I mean, you can't have a great ice cream without a great base, but then you get into the flavors from there. And what I find interesting about eCreamery is if you go online or go into the shop, you see a lot of familiar flavors, but with a little bit of a twist. So a couple examples, like everybody's going to offer chocolate chip cookie dough. You guys have cupcake cookie dough. Everybody's going to have mint chip ice cream. You guys have a mint cookie crunch ice cream. Everybody's going to have brownie chunk. You guys have sea salt caramel brownie ice cream. So these are like the normal flavors that you would expect, but just with a little bit of a twist on them.
Elevated.
Yes, elevated. How did you decide that that's going to be what we're going to do? We're not just going to provide the standard flavors.
She's like so excited to answer. That's why I'm laughing.
Well, I'm a psychology major. And so I love to understand how people think and what they get motivated by and what makes them happy, what excites them. E-commerce is exactly that. It's a social experiment. So we literally have had tens of thousands of customers come to our website and design their own flavor. So that's our body of knowledge. We know what they love. You know, they want to do something crazy like lobster ice cream or, we had lavender, ginger,
putting things together that should not be.
But what it comes down to is, like you're saying, the ones that are the classics, the chocolate base, the sea salt caramel base, the vanilla base. And so with all of the years, we've kind of been able to see what people really, really love, what they order over and over. It's just a little bit different, a little bit unique.
And something that, Dan, I don't know what you love except for you posted
mints and chocolate, baby. Mints and chocolate.
But I would bring you, a 4 variety pack of the 4 most popular flavors, and I bet there's something in there that you'd like. And the mint actually started because I loved that. So it's like a cookie crumble and then fudge, and that is the middle of like a Dairy Queen cake, middle of it. And so then we did the mint, made that the mint flavor, and then put that as the mix-ins, and because everybody loves that fudge and cookie crumble. So that was actually the beginning of that flavor.
Genius.
Gosh, you've called us geniuses a lot. I'm really feeling good about it.
Yeah, I'm here to pump you guys up. Like, maybe I should take on a second career as like motivational speaker or just like personal hype man or something.
Sure.
I think so. Yeah. It's a great Monday morning for our egos.
So, Becky, you just mentioned that you love getting into like the psychology behind it and seeing what people order and trying to figure that out. I mean, you've been at this for, like we said, 17 years now. You've got a lot of data to sort through. What are some of the most interesting findings that you found?
Well, just at the top of my head, we laugh that, you study the open rates of emails, right? Like what percentage of people open the email that you actually put into their inbox. We've learned that if you put the word fudge in a subject line, open rate doubles.
Seriously?
Yeah. So just little stuff like that is so interesting. I love to guess on profiles, like with the male customer in his 50s, what flavor would appeal to him. So we're going to go with chocolate, peanut butter, mint. So you just see that over and over, and it's kind of universal. Yeah. Yeah.
And Becky had said from the beginning too, we need like this richest chocolatey flavor. So we originally called it chocolate decadence, but it's chocolate cake ice cream with fudge swirls and brownies. So it's like chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. And
you can get fudge in the subject line there.
Yeah.
Like 3 times.
Yeah. And they literally pour chocolate cake mix into the base and blend it in.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll talk about it, and Abby just brings it all together in the kitchen. So
or rejects it if it's too hard.
Yeah. Or she'll be like, no, stop it. Yeah.
I'll do something different. But it lands.
How fun is that for you, Abby? Because I love talking to chefs when they talk about making specials or rotating the menu, because so often, if you're just making the same dishes every single day, there's a monotony that sets in, and it's just not, it's not as exciting as it was at the beginning. But if you're constantly getting to experiment and try new things, that kind of reinvigorates chefs. And I'm curious if that's the same with you. Obviously, it's a little bit different, putting a new dish on the menu versus creating a new ice cream. But is that kind of something that you experience? Just having that always something new on the job kind of keeps it new and fresh?
Oh, for sure. I think right now we do 5 different seasonal launches. So we have red velvet cake coming out for middle of January. I know it's not quite out yet in the stores, but we brought you some. And yeah, it's exciting to incorporate different things and to follow trends and to figure out, what people want and what they're doing. Like cookie butter was a really big trend. And so that goes well in ice cream. And then we've added some of our actual cookies into flavors. So we did a frosted sugar cookie for Christmas that was like a sugar cookie. I think it was it was a vanilla base and then with frosted sugar cookies in the ice cream.
It's so good. I'm not going to call you geniuses again because I don't want to inflate your egos too much.
Yeah,
but
seriously.
That flavor didn't suck. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like the red velvet cake is a cream cheese frosting base and then with the cake in it. So it's, kind of a reverse piece of cake. So yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's fun to try the new things and to get, like somebody wrote us the other day, like, hey, we made too much pistachio brittle or whatever. And it was like, oof, I really want it, but we didn't, we passed on it for now. But yeah, it's fun. It's exciting.
You were really excited about our new pies too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we started making ice cream pies. We had done it before, but not really figured out a good formula to do it. But there is a mint ice cream pie, and there's also the white chocolate peppermint. I know we still have a few of those ice cream pies left. But there's something about walking in with that pie to things. I mean, yours has your label on it. If somebody stops in the store and picks up pints, people are excited to have ice cream. But the pie, I mean, it's like, all right, let's slice that up.
So we partnered with Carson's Cookie Fix right before the pandemic in 2019. And Madison Carson is a very talented cookie artist like Abby. And so with these pies, we took the cookie recipe and we just pushed the dough into the pie tin as a crust. So it's literally a cookie tray filled with ice cream and fudge and cookie dough.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to Abby, it's just like every day at work. She's like, yeah, it's great. And then, but if you hear the detail, it's to the average person, pretty exciting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That sounds incredible. So you brought in some pints to test and you were talking about the red velvet. It sounds phenomenal. I'm going to have to test it. While I'm opening, is this it?
That's not it.
Let's see. Butterbrickle. There's red velvet. While I'm opening this up, I would love to hear from you guys. I mean, if you'd like some, we can spoon it. If not,
I was just going to have you can just put the pint koozie on it. So then you can just hold it.
Pint koozie is just the most genius idea. My wife and I, we just eat straight out of the pint. We'll get pints like this and just eat. So she's going to be so excited to see this. Mm-hmm. While I open this up, I would love to just hear from you guys. What are some of your, and I know I'm asking you to pull from 17 years here, but some of your favorite flavors, and not just like which ones do you like to eat, but like some flavors that were really inventive or a flavor that you really like the concept of, but it took a while to, actually develop it and make it work. Like, what are some of your favorites over the years that just popped to the front of your mind? Like, oh yes, that was a good one.
Well, I have one. I think, so we do an avocado ice cream where it is just avocados in our base, which makes for a very thick, rich, dense ice cream because the avocados are. And then we had a customer put fudge and brownies in it. And now I've seen recipes all over of people making brownies with avocados instead of eggs or, all of those things. But back then it was really inventive and different and it was delicious.
Yeah, that is a hard question. There's just so many.
There was a cardamom raspberry.
Yes.
That was it cardamom? It feels like it was something else with that. But again, it's funny because it was so new to us, that flavor. And now I use cardamom all the time in everything. I have to have it in things. But cinnamon cardamom was, and then with raspberry, like a raspberry swirl we had to incorporate for something.
Our vanilla with cashew brittle is and caramel swirls is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're going to get a little picture.
I have to.
The one that
Part of the experience.
It is. It is. That's your first glimpse. The one that pops into my mind, we don't make it on a regular basis, but I think it was our biggest challenge. In 2012, we were invited to go to the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, and we had to make ice cream literally on the beach of South Beach, Miami, for 3,000 people at a party. And we were all in. We were so excited to get the invitation. You know, we had no advertising budget again. We still needed the recognition. And this came about because of the Rachel Ray dog flavor that we made for her dog. And so we brainstormed all these ideas, and they said, well, Emeril Lagasse has a flavor idea for you. It's called the Drunken Monkey. Oh my gosh. Abby really took vanilla beans and shredded all the vanilla from vanilla beans in a banana, macadamia nut, fudge, coconut. What else was in there? But that was phenomenal. Oh, and rum.
I was gonna say there's got to be something to make it drunken.
Wow. And it was so good. Yeah. And they had us make a sorbet with Perrier Jouet champagne. And so that was also an adventure.
They were a sponsor, so they sent us a couple cases to make it.
And I mean, that just takes it to a whole new level, introducing new liquids. I mean, that's just because then you got to start adjusting the base again, I assume. So
yeah, different. It was a sorbet base for that. Yeah,
which means no dairy. Yeah,
yes,
it was really good and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so I've opened this up, and here's something that I just love about eCreamery ice cream. First of all, I can already kind of see what you were talking about, how it melts. And like there's not the air pockets in there. I can see that. But for those who are watching, like, look at this. So many times when you open a pint of ice cream, you just see vanilla or chocolate on top. And there can be all kinds of mix-ins like inside of it, but you got to dig a little bit to get to them. This has red velvet cake like spackled everywhere. If you just handed this to me and it didn't have a label on it, I would know immediately that this is red velvet cake because it looks like it. Oh, man. That's not awful. Not at all.
Good.
That's
good.
amazing. And I love, it's got that tanginess of the cream cheese that's in that base. That's wild. I've never had that nice. I've had red velvet ice cream, but usually it's just red velvet cake that gets chopped up and thrown into a vanilla base. But this is a different flavor profile entirely. Good work.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So all of our pints are pinted by hand. We have a team of ice cream chefs, and we have to make it in small batches because it is that dense. So they make each container by container, and each pint, it's the team taking the ice cream shovels and pinting each and every one. Like if you go to like a Wells Blue Bunny or Ben and Jerry, their minimum run, when they run one round of ice cream, the least they can do is 60,000 pints. So one run is 60,000. Us, we do 24 is our smallest. So, it's a different product.
For sure. I got to put that away, or I'm going to eat the whole thing and spoil my lunch. What is the R&D process? And I'm sure that this changes with every different ice cream and every different flavor, but like in general, if someone comes to you and says, whether it's Becky, whether it's a customer, anyone, and says, I have this great idea, and you're like, yes, I think that could work. How do you go from saying, yes, that could work, I want to try it, to, okay, it's hitting the store now and people can buy it?
Well, I think you're right. It definitely has changed. But I think we now have a lot of resources where we know, we can get this ingredient from this company, or if we are, like Becky said, a lot of times we're just running a small batch, especially to test something. So that's kind of my favorite part. Like we did an ice cream experience for a group that had they had won an ice cream experience at a fundraiser. So I let them send in like 4 flavors, and so we developed I developed the flavors, and then they came in, and they got to chop stuff and they got to mix stuff and then they got to pine it and take it home. And one of them was ginger carrot cake, which was, so we did a ginger base, so fresh ginger. And I think I steeped it for them overnight. And then we added just big slices of carrot cake, and it had a carrot cake made up and put that in it. So it's fun to do those small batch runs like that. I don't know if ginger carrot cake would make it on the big play, but it's definitely fun to experiment with that. And we have done carrot cake in the past where we did it similar to that with the cream cheese frosting base, and then we put carrot cake in it. But this was like the carrot cake with real carrots, nuts, coconut. I think some people do pineapple in their carrot cake.
Oh,
so
wow.
it gets, it's a lot more depth of flavor with something like that. So yeah, I think it's changed, but we kind of take on our different profiles and change them up. So there's not a lot that we haven't started with, or, like, okay, let's steep the mint leaves, or, different things along the way. So, yeah.
Okay, let's get into the Shark Tank of it all. So, like you mentioned, you guys appeared on season 4 of Shark Tank. This is in 2012, so about 5 years into starting eCreamery. And for those, I don't think Shark Tank is on the air anymore. So, for anyone who isn't, maybe it is, I don't even know. For anyone who isn't aware of what Shark Tank is, it was or is a show on ABC where different entrepreneurs would come and present their product to a panel of 4 or 5 judges, sharks, who were potential investors who would hear their pitch, get to try the product out, and then say, yes, I want to invest in this company, or the sharks would pass and we'd go on from there. How did this opportunity arise for you guys, or how did it even come on your radar?
Let me go. Again, it was a complete reverse. Like I said, ice cream shops in Omaha, Nebraska are really hard. So we went to our investor in October. October was always the lowest of the low points for us. No gift giving holidays. The weather's changing. Cash flow was really awful for ice cream businesses in Omaha, Nebraska in October. So we went to our investor and we said, we're not going to be able to make payroll. We need to pay our scoopistas and chefs. We're just not going to make it. And they're like,
Scoopistas, I love
scoopistas,
that.
yeah, our scoopistas. And he's like, well, there's no more money. And he said, well, I think you should go on the show Shark Tank. And Abby and I looked at each other and we're like, what? What is that? What? And he said, what you said. He explained to us what it was. And we're like, the solution is reality television. That's what's going on. And we were very upset because, again, we were in a tight spot. So I wrote to info@sharktank.com.
It was like a PDF or something, you wrote in hey, I've got an idea. I mean, it was like nothing.
It was to check the box.
Yeah.
But with Shark Tank, they're a brilliant marketing machine. They usually have, the very high tech product. They have the very, kind of funny off the wall product, and they have a cutesy all American product. Well, we fit in one pretty easily.
The high tech.
Right.
Exactly.
And so they wrote back, and Abby and I were like, oh no, here we go. Oh no. Because we were not wanting to go on reality TV. We wanted our business to take off. And it was kind of a long process, about a year and a half after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of prepping, a lot of vetting, a lot of, step of testing us. And finally...
Yeah, it was always, you're on the show until you're not, which could be any second. We could be like, no, we cut you. Today.
They did cut us for a ice cream company that used beer in their ice cream. So we thought we were going to go the next week, and they're like, yeah. And then we were pulled. So then, they flew us out there to Culver City, California. We had signed a 72-page airtight contract that we would do exactly what they said, and they had complete creative control over what aired. And
in perpetuity and throughout the universe. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was the line.
So even off-world, you don't have control over it. Wow.
But we signed it because we needed the exposure.
Sure.
And we needed to get the word out there. So they put us up in a Super 8 with a $12 per day diem. Very, very high lux.
So classy.
Yeah. And we went out there and we did it. And it was very stressful and it was very intense. But even though we didn't get a deal, it was the best thing that could have happened because we had that exposure. And Mark Cuban even said, I'm not going to invest because this is such a good idea. People are going to do this in their local markets. You're going to have imitators. And they did do that. But again, not all ice cream ships. But that got the demand out there. So people did start looking for ship ice cream. The competitors did come up and we were first to market. And so that demand and that search. So we had our PPC ads and we had our SEO in line for our websites. So when it built that demand, we were ready. And so that's what we needed.
What I found fascinating going back and watching the episode is you make your presentation and you mentioned you developed specific flavors for each of the judges, which I thought was really cool. But before any of them even say anything, as you guys are still talking and, presenting the idea, saying, here's the investment we're looking for, they just start moaning. They're just like, this is good. And, I'm not going to remember her name, but Barbara called it the best ice cream she'd ever had. I mean, I can only imagine, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, the amount of nerves that you come into this experience with, and you're standing in front of these 5 probably billionaires, at least multimillionaires, who have all this power, and you're pitching them their idea. I would just be like sweating through my shirt. But to hear them, like their first thing is to validate your product and be like, oh, this is so good. What did that do for your confidence in that moment?
Not much. First of all, we knew the product was good and we knew they would love it. That was, part of that was like, we aren't looking for you to tell us that that the ice cream's good. Like, obviously, thank you. We need, America needs to hear that. But we still had plenty of time to go after that, as far as like the questions and the, all of the, so, I am not a straight A student. I am not type A. I was like, yeah, we'll just go out there. We'll go on. We'll answer their questions, whatever. No big deal. So Becky's different, from that. She likes to study. She likes to be prepared, which
I wanted to win.
She wanted to win. Yeah.
As
and
one
I was
should.
like, yeah, whatever. So she had us very prepared. We knew exactly what questions, when they came up, who was answering it. What was, if they asked about how we ship 4 pints of ice cream, we ship them in a reusable styrofoam cooler. It was the same answer I gave you today. We knew exactly what the answers were to the questions that they asked and who was going to answer them and in what way. So we were very prepared. So that was more of what we were nervous about, is basically, our dignity on national television.
Fair.
Yeah. So, but it was very nerve-wracking, and it's a studio. There's just lots of hype. You have to stand there for 60 seconds, and there's all sorts of cameras coming at you, and before you even talk. So, yeah.
And it's not calm, cool, and collected like you see on this show. They do a lot of editing, and so you are standing there. We were in the tank for over an hour and a half.
I was going to ask how long it is, because the segment's about 13 minutes, 12, 13 minutes, somewhere in there. Okay, so hour and a half.
We figured they had 22 hours worth of material. So they were shouting questions, like all at once shouting. And then Abby would answer and I would answer. And it's very chaotic. And they make it look very smooth, but it was very stressful. Like still to this day, I'll hear that Shark Tank music and I'll be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Little PTSD.
But, they all love their flavors, and that was so great. But when we walked off, they all declined, saying competition would come back. They were so great to us. Like Barbara and her people sent us a 5-page document on like, you don't need a shark, you need a loan. This is what I recommend you do, just to be nice. And Abby and I, before we went on walk down that hall where you see the Shark Tanks on either side and they play the music and you walk into the hallway and it's very stressful. We were mic'd and we were ready to go because they can tape anything that you say. And so they get a lot and they can use it whenever they want. And Abby and I said a prayer of like, please have us not make fools of ourselves. Please just let us do the best we can do. And when we were done and they took off and they interviewed us, the head producer came up and he's like, we really appreciated your prayer. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I can't believe you didn't get a deal. We're going to make sure this is nothing but the best for you. And at the time we were like, what are you talking about? But they paired us with, even though we didn't get a deal, it was their first time that they ever came to Omaha, to the location. So they came to Omaha and filmed a backstory for us. And they put our segment on Mark Cuban's best performing product ever. Oh, so wow. We were put on the syndicated show for all the reruns, all the airlines.
They did a follow-up show. So
and they did a follow-up show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they were very good to us. It was painful, but it was absolutely the best thing that could have happened.
And we still keep in touch with our producers, like, send them stuff and send them ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Again, when you want somebody or you want to reward somebody or thank somebody, ice cream's not a bad way to do it.
Right.
So it worked. You guys didn't get the investment from a shark. Like you mentioned, they all declined. They said it was a good business idea, but just wasn't right for them. So they declined. You guys leave. But I found some numbers, and you guys can correct me if these numbers aren't correct. But I saw that your website received 12,000 visits within the first 8 minutes of the episode airing, and eCreamery sales went up 29,000% compared to the previous year. Again, those are numbers I found on the internet. Their accuracy may or may not be there. You can tell me that. But were you prepared for that type of surge in popularity?
We were, to an extent. Barbara and her documents were very clear. I mean, she really gave us some tips. We had hired a call center to take the calls, which was great. We had a
watch party, but then we were like, oh, we actually need to be watching the site. And that's what, 12,000, I definitely remember way more than that. I would say, we were just watching the Google Analytics climb, and it was over 100,000, and it crashed the site.
Yeah, It crashed our site.
Yeah, because again, it was like 2012. It wasn't like we were on Shopify. It was like we had to, get Yahoo.com, who was hosting our site at the time, to put more resources behind it, which they were kind of like, for what? This ice cream is like Shark Tank, but it wasn't as easy as it is today by any means, and we weren't capturing emails when you got to the site. That wasn't a really easy thing to do. So, so much has changed in the last 10 years that we would do so much differently if the opportunity was there today. But it's not, and we're not going back on. So I don't even know if it's still on. Like
it is.
Dan said.
It is.
Okay.
Is it really?
Yep. But
That's
I've heard
amazing.
it's their final season. I heard Mark Cuban say this is his last grand finale.
You are correct. We're on season 15 right now. Interesting. Yeah, you had a quote on that because they did a follow-up segment with you guys. You said that there were definitely some tears after not making a deal with the Sharks. As you walk off that stage and as you guys are flying back and you're having conversations with each other about the experience, other than like Barbara's document, what do you think you learned from that, or what motivation did you take from that? That yes, you didn't get the investment that you were looking for, but you got something that changed the company that day.
Yeah, I kept trying to convince her of that.
Well,
like
I didn't realize that it was a win until we saw the launch. So we filmed in July and it aired in September. So we didn't know what our segment was going to look like. They didn't let us see it in advance. We did not see it. So they could have changed it in many different ways. And when they did the teaser that our episode was going to come out,
it was like a commercial.
It was a commercial for our episode, and it said, there are the innovators and then it flashed to, somebody doing a really good job on Shark Tank. There are the imitators, and then it flashed to another character, and then they said, and then there are the idiots. And
It
they
flashed to me. Becky saw the commercial
come on.
and
I
lost it.
I lost it
And I
because
was
we were
like,
going to watch
whatever.
this with our children. We were going to watch this aired episode, but we'd signed it away. We couldn't control what they were going to create.
And that was a line that I think Cuban used on the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
we
Okay.
were actually the innovators on
Yes.
the show, but on the teaser we were the idiots.
Oh boy.
And so I called our producer and I said, hey, you need to let us know how this is going to go because we're going to watch this with all of our friends and family. And he said, you're going to love it. You are going to love it. But, we didn't know that until that night. So they really did, as they said, everything they did to make it phenomenal. But it was a lot of stress to get there. And then when we saw those numbers, I think that's when we hit it. And when we saw our website crash because literally that many people wanted to get there and order. And that was when it took off. We needed that to let them know it was out there. And ever since then, when people learn about us, they're hooked.
I can attest to that. I had not tried eCreamery until a couple months ago, and now I'm a devotee. I'm going to break into one more pint here, but because I love Butterbrickle, and I have to try you guys' version. But as I do, I got another question for you. In 2015, that's when you opened your shipping warehouse and a commercial kitchen. How did that take your business to the next level, going from, eCreamery, there's this cute little, ice cream shop to, okay, now this is a big stinking deal that is shipping ice cream across the country and people know about it?
Well, that was a benefit of going on Shark Tank. So we had asked for $250,000 for 33% equity in our company. And we did that in sales in the next 6 weeks after it aired.
Oh my gosh.
So we didn't need the deal. I mean, we didn't need to give away equity because we did that in sales. So we literally took every single one of those dollars and reinvested it. That's the melting Butterbrickle. It's so good.
Awesome. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So we used that money to buy pre-printed pints because before then we were stickering each and every one. Mm-hmm. And then we used it to lease, a large-scale commercial kitchen and packing and shipping facility because before then we were literally using a tape gun and taping and putting the dry ice in every single box.
Rolling in things of dry ice, lining that hall at 50th and Underwood with coolers, and then we would ship
So
out of that facility. It's not a facility, out of that storefront on 50th and Underwood. And so we knew if we wanted to continue to get more orders, then we would have to
be more efficient.
do it somewhere else.
What do you think?
You guys, man, you know how to make ice cream. That toasted caramel flavor is just so forward in this. And I mean, you have it on the pints to after you take it out of the freezer to let it sit a little bit and melt. And that's such a pro move because it just gets creamier and silkier. Oh yeah, this is fantastic.
I'm glad you like it. When that Butterbrickle gets a little gooey, a little melted like that and starts to sink in, I think that's probably when it's the best.
Yeah, this is really, really good. Okay, so we're getting up against the clock here, but I've got a couple more questions for you guys. 17 years in business. That is an eternity in the restaurant or food business. I mean, usually if a place makes it 5-10 years, that's incredible. And you guys have just kept going, and the train doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. What do you think it is about your business that has created a sustainability that so many other restaurants or ice cream shops, coffee shops, whatever it might be in this industry struggle to attain?
Well, I think it's the difference in revenue streams. I mean, it's what we've learned a lot is that our local business is a big support of everything that we do. So now we have the ice cream truck, and also we're at CHI and the College World Series and Hy-Vee. So we're really expanding our local business a lot these days as well. And because we're still small batch, we're able to do private label projects for people. So we do a lot of that out of the warehouse, where we're able to, somebody says, I'm going to order 10,000 pints and I need them filled with this flavor for this particular project. We did a Ted Lasso project in the fall for a company that was making Ted Lasso ice cream, wanted to. So we made them some Ted Lasso ice cream, and we shipped it to them, and then they're shipping it out as part of it was part of a holiday gift, and now part of Golden Globes award season. So yeah, I think it's diversifying and then really stepping on the gas on the pieces that work. And we know we have great ice cream, and so yeah, trying to figure out different ways to sell it and different ways to use our manufacturing facility has been key. And I would say too, though, it's never been easy. I think during COVID, everybody went online and started ordering ice cream. So we did very well during COVID, but it was absolutely exhausting. So I think with people that are in a food business for 5 or 10 years, you're exhausted. Like you're the burnout, right? I mean, it's just insane. Literally being in a freezer all day, me like trying to figure out more room. What do we need to make? What's shipping out tomorrow, getting things in order. And we're very small. I mean, again, me being on the shipping line, me being in the kitchen, pinting, that's been 17 years. So, because our business is different and has different seasons, I think that's been easier to sustain, because there are some down seasons, like right now in January, we're not gearing up for anything or making a lot, or I'm not spending every day in the freezer, but it's very hard. I mean, it's challenging, and every different leg of the revenue has different challenges and how we can accomplish it. So we definitely know a lot about challenges.
Well, I commend you guys, and I thank you for sticking it out through all those challenges, because you've created something that is, really just amazing. It's a great product. If you just go into the ice cream parlor in Dundee and just get a cone or get a pint and just eat that, like, you're going to have a great time. But it's like we talked about at the top of the episode, you also have an opportunity to create experiences by giving this to someone and allowing that, we didn't really even go into it, but you can customize these pints. You can name them different things. You can put pictures on them. You can make someone feel really special by giving them a pint of ice cream. And I think that makes your company so unique and so special. So thank you for going through that and for doing that. And thank you so much for giving some time and coming on the podcast today. I could talk to you guys forever. Like, there are so many more questions that I have to ask you. I wish I could ask more. Maybe we'll have to do a follow-up episode. I don't know. But thank you for taking the time to come on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And listeners, like, this is awesome. I mean, you've literally watched me eat it on camera. It's fantastic ice cream. Especially check out that red velvet that's going to be coming out here in the next couple weeks. Maybe as you're listening to it now, it might even be out. That is a red velvet ice cream. But I feel pretty confident that regardless of which flavor you try, there's going to be something that you'll like. So check it out, listeners. Thank you again, guys.
Thanks.
And Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.